Hello there, it is I, Elliot Petronitz, and for my poetry project, I've done The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. Alright, I'll start off with my thesis. Robert Frost uses enjambment, rhyme scheme, and repetition to enforce the topic of choices in life and how they are crucial. So, upon reading this poem, one of the first things I noticed was that this guy had a rhyme scheme. So, it goes A, B, A, B. You see that? And the would, both, stood, could, and then growth. So that's pretty cool. And that basically continues down the line, but with different, sounds. G, G, H. So that continues on to the poem. And I think that enforces the theme of decisions, because it's like, there's a set order in life. You can't make a decision twice. You can't go back in time. So everything has to fall into this order that is the rhyme scheme in the poem. So I thought that was a pretty cool idea. Now, second thing I noticed is that there's a bunch of enjambment, especially here at the beginning. So there's one. I'm just gonna mark this by putting a dot to the right of the line. So there's one here. There's one here. There's one here. There's now one down here. One down yonder. And there's not one iffy. So I'm gonna make it, the big point is gonna be a big point with a little question mark. Cause that one's kind of iffy. I don't know if the dash here does enjambment, but whatever. So enjambment, it takes you by surprise. Every time you're in a poem, you're like, oh, hey, that runs on. So this kind of runs on with, I guess he doesn't want to interrupt the ideas of the traveler. And those ideas being that he had to choose here. And time's a ticking. Time ain't going to stop for y'all. So you best get to move on and make your decisions fast. And you can only make that decision once. So it's tying into the pressure that decisions can have and their effects. Alright, another pickup was that there was some personification and alliteration down here. That's personification and alliteration in this second line. See the personification when he talks about the path wanting where? Which, I mean, paths don't want stuff. At least I don't think they do. And alliteration, wanted where? Maybe, yeah. We also see some repetition here, just throughout the poem. It's like, just using words in close proximity, like I doubted if I, ages and ages, I dash I. Yeah, so he does a lot of repetition, which I don't know exactly how that ties into the poem, but I thought it was a good pickup, at least. He does it up here as well. I could, I stood, I could, which that's an internal rhyme as well. Except these two are external, but that one's internal, so it's like partial internal rhyme, which I thought was cool. Alright. There's also a little bit of juxtaposition here. At least I'm going to sum up the juxtaposition. Because he says up here that the second path was grassy and wanted where. So almost like it had been traveled less and was yearning for someone to come along and trample it. But then, like, 2 lines later, he says that they're both worn around the same. So, like, which is it, Robert Frost? Does it want to be trampled, or are they the same? So that's some juxtaposition, and that ties into the theme of the poem a little bit, because I think it just kind of shows how life doesn't always make sense in a way. So that's about all I got for literary devices. There's probably a couple more in here that I didn't see because I'm not the best at this. But let's talk about the speaker. So, the speaker I liked, it was pretty, well, I liked it. It's first-person perspective, as seen in the many eyes throughout the piece. And I like it. It's almost from a perspective of like a traveler that has traveled a lot. He had to make a good decision, and well, he had to make a decision, and he thinks he took a good one, although he did sigh about it, so I don't know. So it's a traveler that's reminiscing upon a cross paths that he has had in his earlier journeys. Also, the author could be the narrator, or at least this is reflective of the author's self-doubt about a decision he has made in the past, and a position he has been in the past, where he had to make one of these decisions, which I think is cool because everyone can kind of relate to, you know, having to make a decision whether or not to take that shot and whether to do something instead. So it was kind of relatable, I guess. So maybe it's the author speaking from his experience as well. So I think that's cool. Jumping back up to the title, it kind of directly references the poem that follows it. Direct. Because it talks about, specifically the fourth line, talks a lot about how he almost regrets that, well, not regrets, but he's wondrous of what would have happened if he took the other path. And he's thinking about the road not taken. So that's cool. So it's a direct reference to the poem and also to the theme of it. So speaking of the theme, so I thought that the best way to articulate the theme was when you must make decisions in your life. Be wary. For you may only make that decision once. There's another roll there. I know how to spell choose. I'm not that dumb. So, yeah, that's what I thought of this poem. Great themes, pretty relatable.